AI and art and ethics. My hot take, as usual, is that AI doesn't pose any threat to artists. It does pose threat to designers, and the quandary here is that a lot of artists sustain themselves by doing commissioned designs, but I think there's a fundamental difference. Design is something a customer asks for, something people want. Art is something that nobody knows they needed. It creates its own customer base. And neural networks operate by studying information that already exists, recognizing patterns. It can't produce new patterns. It can't generate new ideas, original ideas. I can tell a night cafe to make a watercolor, but I can't ask it to come up with a new way to use water. And that's what artists are for. I use ChatGPT as a writing assistant often. It's like a really smart thesaurus, but it can't produce new metaphors, which is what I look for in lyrics. That's really important to me. And like, ChatGPT has never once produced a lyric that I appreciate.
Yeah. Take a look at it in the political field. You know, I think there will be new laws in the future coming out against deep fakes, you know, because already it's getting to that point. The buttered sausage thing that one dude did, people are like, oh my God, that was a deep fake. All that was deep fake.
Poor Gary Busey.
Yeah, that was a deep fake, dude. That wasn't really him.
Poor Gary Busey. He has to go through all that brain damage, and then people think that he's arguing about buttered sausage. Poor man.
I appreciate that it's teaching people what they should have known all along, which is you can't trust videos you see on the internet.
Exactly.
It's the same idea as taking something out of context. And really all deepfakes are is taking a million small instances out of context and reformulating them. And this has been the case in politics forever. You take one sentence, snip it out into its own video, and convince the world this politician has this one belief.
And now it'll be even easier because you can just create it and just publish it out, you know. I don't think musicians really have to worry about it as much. Maybe if you're, you know, like an artist in some aspects, but you can also harness that. And some artists do, like Jeremiah Moorfield, you know, he harnesses AI and uses it. And that is the artists themselves creating something, no more of less of using a computer to draw. That is aiding you. It's just an aid. It's not your hand. It's a mouse, a computer. So that's my feeling on the AI.
I think that's very interesting. I think, okay, first, before I even say anything, are you insinuating that digital artists and AI artists are the same, or are you think they have it easier?
No, I don't think digital artists have it easier either. They have hurdles that they have to go over.
Yeah.
But I think that a computer helps them in some way. They don't have to go out and buy the colors. They don't have to buy the paper.
Yeah.
It's all digital. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And AI is in another form like that in a way, but not really, because it's another aid. It's another tool to help.
Just
but
in a
it can
different
also
format.
hinder, just the same way as your computer could shut down.
Yeah.
It could hinder your art if you don't save it.
I also think the reason why I'm a digital artist and I don't interact with AI is because I don't feel a connection to AI, because I feel like there is no like connection with a human artist, because human artists have intentional emotion and just intent, period, when it comes to art. And I feel like that they should be paid to make art, just because in the capitalist society that we're in, that is their livelihood. And like when I sit down and I make art, I'm like, it's not like I expect to get paid. I just would prefer to get paid, and AI takes away from that possibility, because why would you go to a physical artist when you can just go to like an AI generator that makes art? Like, it is like taking away from commission artists, because they're just made to make commissions. If AI is doing the same thing that they're doing, then why would someone, quote unquote, waste their money on a commissioner when they can just do it for free and use AI?
I mean, in all honesty, I would want art commissioned from a human that does it by the heart, from the heart, rather than an AI-generated image that's just like, oh, hey, here you go.
Yeah, here's exactly what you wanted.
This.
Yeah.
I think if you can generate the art from AI, then you're not doing a new kind of art.
Yes.
Yeah. For something that is like as important to me as an album cover or single art, I would 100% of the time go to a human, because Night Cafe, any visual AI could give me exactly what I want, but I'm not an artist. what I want isn't what's best. And that's kind of the thing. There is a recent instance of someone hitting up Jeremiah and asking for cover art and going through dozens of revisions because they weren't happy with the art he created for them. But his initial idea was better because he's a visual artist. He knows what things should look like. And musicians, unless they're also visual artists, they often have shit ideas about visuals. I personally should never be trusted to tell Zach what to make for a visualizer or for a cover art. And we've established this. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need.
Find somebody who you trust who knows what you want and use them to actually analyze you instead of thinking you're so confident in your vision that like this is gonna be perfect. No, somebody knows better than you do. And it's not like a computer thing because the computers can give you exactly what you want.
You're looking at it, I think, with that perspective is like from the artistic perspective. Musicians are artists, and so we're going to view the world with an artistic lens. And so we would want other people to look at us the way that we look at them. And so most musicians are on a pretty similar consensus of wanting another artist to be in charge of that stuff. But when you look at people who are non-artists, a lot of those people just want something done fast, something that's done cheap. They don't care about the human aspect because they're looking at it more as a product or an idea as opposed to a piece of art. A lot of companies who use AI stuff nowadays, it's not the right thing, but they're not looking at it as an artistic perspective. They see it as, we need a graphic to make an advertisement. We can hire a human to make this advertisement, and that's going to cost a shit ton of money. Or we can use an AI, which will cost infinitely less, and we'll get it done immediately.
And in their situation, the ethical choice is to use AI because you could forfeit money that could be going to employees or to shareholders or any number of people, and you're giving it to an artist who's producing something that is interchangeable with AI. And if you're an artist who creates art that is interchangeable with AI art, then you're not an artist, you're a designer. And designer is just a role that is becoming increasingly irrelevant. It's in the same way that like telephone switchboard operators are irrelevant. No shame to telephone switchboard operators. They were at one point very valuable workers, but you need to know how currents are going and figure out how to use your skills for something that only you can do.
And when you say designers, you mean graphic designers? Like
Designers in the abstract.
Animators, all that.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to abstract this a little bit more, let's think about in 5 years when AI is going to be studying all the music on Spotify. It's going to be studying your drums, your bass, your guitar, and it's going to be able to conjure up probably primarily jingles is what AI is going to be used for. A little bit of pop music as well. But
Well,
I mean,
that's already done.
Yeah.
that's horrifying.
I think it's been done. They've just been using the same algorithm for the past 15 years probably by now.
Well, my fear with AI art is that this is a very funny example, but SpongeBob. If you look at the first season of SpongeBob, there's a lot of, this is just my personal preference, there's a lot of animation errors in that first season of SpongeBob. It's very almost amateurish, but if you keep going through the seasons, it gets refined and it looks objectively perfect, but it's not perfect to me. I like those flaws. And I like the jankiness when it comes to a real person animating or...
The humanity to it is what makes it...
Exactly. I like the flaws.
AI can iconically fuck up.
I like the...
Yeah.
For real.
AI can miss the mark entirely in the most hilarious way.
But there's a difference between AI missing the mark and trying to replicate somebody who's not... something that doesn't relate to what you're making, and a real human making a mistake. Sometimes those mistakes make it better.
I think from that standpoint, another group of people that will be affected at some point by AI, video game designers are going to be pushed away at some point because these companies, you can already tell, they're like more profit over, you know, how good the game is. And you can already see, you know, they're pre-using assets that they've made 20 years ago. Okay.
The coding industry's
Call of
already
Duty.
been kind of flipped over by AI, because now the people who know how to write code aren't the ones advancing in the ranks. It's the people who know how to prompt AI to write code well. It's different kinds of language. There's some people who know how to speak the language of computers, and there's some people who know how to speak the language of neural network artificial intelligence. And also, if we're talking about the kinds of mistakes AI makes versus musicians make or animators make, it feels like the same kind of thing. Like, you can recognize this is the kind of thing that someone who is a native German speaker trying to speak English would say. It's like an entertaining quirk of someone's personality. And I'm entertained by the quirks of AI. There's a reason I like interacting with ChatGPT, or I love a lot of really janky AI artwork. It's a kind of surrealism.
I will say that I have made many a shit post with ChatGPT and Crayon AI just to laugh at it. But it's not something that I make to say this is real art. For one, it's my prompts, which I'm not the most sophisticated person when it comes to making prompts for these AIs. But two, it's not really made with, to get really sentimental, it's not made with love. It's not made with real thought.
Well, it's not real art, because in a lot of ways it's coming from like a regurgitated sense where it's taking a million art pieces and condensing that into a prompt.
Yeah, like you said, Connor, earlier, it's not new. It's just regurgitating other things that it's absorbed throughout its life.
It's like humanity.
Well,
There you go.
Humanity can still make something new. It's just that AI is
It's
incapable of
we
making
repeat
new
our
things.
It's like a repetition. It's just repeating.
Repetition?
It's just repeating what it sees, more or less.
The example that pops into my head is that in the 60s at Motown, when you relate this to music, there's the bassist who's on like all the Motown recordings, and he never changed his strings out. And someone asked him eventually why. Like, why would you never change your strings? Like, you need to do that as a bassist. He's like, the dirt makes the funk, is what he said. I can't remember who said that. Maybe I'm going to have to remember later.
James Jamerson?
That's got to be it. But he said the dirt makes the funk. Those flaws make it human. Those flaws make it worth something to me.
I say even AI has flaws though in what it does.
The flaws that AI makes are not the
inhuman
kind of
flaws.
things that humans would make.
Yeah, I was gonna
Exactly.
say that's why AI to me is the equivalent of going from film to analog to digital. Like it's a new tool you have, and it's up to each person to actually look at something and be like, is that like a real thing I want to have as my image? Because like I use like AI generate to get inspiration. Like I'll repeatedly type in titles, but it never gives me what I want. I'm like, no, screw this. I'm about to go just make my own thing. But thank you for giving me these photographs to let me like think a little bit more. I think same with ChatGPT. It gives you text, and you use that text to then help work out your own thoughts. It's like talking with another human, or like looking at someone else's pictures or photographs. Like if you use it the wrong way and are like, oh, this is my end-all be-all for what I need, then you're just kind of whack and aren't thinking enough about it.
It's like talking to a kind of autistic, kind of dumb human who knows who knows everything about the internet, but
As
also
someone
is
who
not
lives
creative.
with one,
I
I'd
don't
have to
think that we
agree.
should compare AI to autism.
Morally.
You should.
No.
Because one important theme of autism is how you relate general cases to specific cases. And this is where AI and humans differ. Now, AI does not produce the same results as autistic people, speaking as a autistic person who uses AI, but it's the same kind of thing. There's a disconnect in it can't read what I'm trying to imply. It can't generalize from specific cases, or it can't produce specific cases from my generalization because there's a disconnect.
and talking back with us making album covers.
Yeah, it's like talking to someone who just like doesn't read you quite right and will always produce something that's like literally true, but not exactly there. And it's useful to bounce ideas off of.
I have two separate analogies here because there's two different issues, right? So, I mean, first of all, AI, as we've reiterated before, it's not going to give you anything new. It's just going to regurgitate information. So think maybe instead of sitting down with 20 pages of notebook paper and writing out long division, you're using a calculator, right? So it's going to shorten mundane tasks, which gives you more space to actually focus your energy into creating something else. Which leads us to, right, Mason's analogy with the graphic art designer. He wasn't ever implying, I guess, that graphic artists do less work. He is implying the fact that graphic artists use technology as a tool for art. ChatGPT and other AI can completely shape the way that we think about art. First of all, we can develop new forms of art using AI. And also, it challenges artists to step away from things that can be done. If your art can be replicated from ChatGPT, it sucks. It's already been done before. You're not original. So challenge yourself. Have the courage to think of something new.
When I think of ChatGPT, I think of the lowest common denominator when it comes to like. That's why I try to make, and this is just on me, I try to make shit post out of AI. Like I try to just challenge it to try to break it. That's the only way it's entertaining to me.
Even that's a challenge. It's hard to get AI to do something that's like actually out there enough to qualify as a shitpost.
100%.
It's a skill.
It is a skill. It's a skill that America needs right now in its time of need. We need AI shit posters. We need the memes to take over.
We need deepfakes of Trump and Biden.
Useful skill.
Deface them.
I will say the most memorable thing I've ever had ChatGPT do is I asked it to make like a caveman's perspective on like a nuclear bomb going off. And it was, I swear to God, it was like the AI was like,
Spirit's wrath come at me from sky.
and that was the most entertaining thing I've ever had AI generate for me at all. You have to really push it in order to make it like, to me, worthwhile, because like anything would be like,
Well, the caveman looks at the mushroom cloud and
well, that's not fun to me. That's not interesting. You gotta really push it to make it do something that no one else has ever done. And to me, like, what's the point of that? You're just pushing a computer to do something else, to, like mix algorithms together. To me, you need someone creative.
You need someone to bop it. And that's like, I mean,
Twist it.
Photoshop.
Pull it.
Adobe Premiere, any of these video editing softwares, it's just giving you these default things that you can use. It's up to you to be like, how many layers on this do I need to put before the program doesn't like it and it starts doing some fun stuff and like giving me that actual glitch. It's like any sort of distortion of analog stuff is the same. It's just we haven't worked out the distortion of AI. I mean, some people have. But yeah, you can distort any medium of anything to make it just goofy as hell. Like,
I agree.
And it's just fun.
But using different presets to me that AI have created is not the same as making an AI do something for you entirely.
That's true. I mean, AI is like memory bank to me is preset. Like the whatever it was like trained on in my head is its preset. It's just like a super advanced preset. It's just like, okay, how now can I manipulate this?
Then the similarities that we're coming up with is that it's a tool. It's better used as a tool than as the end all be all, that is what I argue against. Not that AI is beneath us, because I also don't agree with that. I don't think AI is beneath us. I think it's very intelligent. I still don't feel like AI is like the end all be all. I think it's just a tool, another tool that we can use to help better art and help better music instead of just listening to AI music and then looking at AI art.
Just because you have an arpeggiator on your synth doesn't mean you know how to like properly use an arpeggio. Like,
Very relatable to me because I know nothing about anything except for drums.
I don't know what the fuck you just said.
I need to rewatch it. Adam Neely has a video where he reviews an AI bass solo generator that was trained on his bass playing. And he has some interesting insights into the kind of disconnect between humans and AI because he's listening to an artificial intelligence reproduce his own style. I feel like, as far as ethical issues with AI, we've kind of established like using AI to create whatever sort of medium you want. AI can't make good art. That's a fundamental restriction we have to deal with. And that's partially because we define art in terms of relationships with other humans, and AI is something that's alien. It's not going to reproduce the human experience. It's not going to be able to create something new that's going to speak to us as art.
Even elephants create better art than AI. And that's not me trying to make a joke. It's literally me being like, animals have more humanity than AI because AI is an artificial intelligence that humans created. Once AI starts to develop itself, that's when it becomes actual artificial intelligence.
Animal idiosyncrasies are just more interesting to us than computer idiosyncrasies because we've lived around animals from the entirety of human history. It's something we can relate to because, like, yeah, this is the experience of someone who's painting, who has lived on Earth in a physical body. And it's funny, it's cute. AI hasn't lived on Earth in a physical body. It's just that much more alien to us. I don't know. Down the line, when we do create artificial intelligence that is genuinely intelligent, able to learn and evolve, then it might be more attracted to our primitive AI art for its flaws, because it'll see, like, hey, this person with 6 fingers, that's funny and cute, because I can see how a computer would create that, and I can relate to the experience of being a computer.
I generally think that if whenever, like, it's like Detroit Become Human, like there's androids that are walking among us that look human, I would rather look at a version of their art more than what we have for AI. Because I think that if we're using that example of Detroit Become Human, those cyborgs, I actually see humanity in those versions of AI because they are stuck on Earth in a vessel. And that in turn makes them as human as us because we are just entities stuck in a vessel on Earth. That's literally what humans are, in my opinion.
When you put it like that gives those androids like a flaw, like not a flaw, but I'm sorry, but like a perspective. And as of right now, I don't think AI has that perspective.
Exactly.
When it comes to the difference between AI and androids like that, or just humans and AI,
Yeah.
that they don't really have the perspective of humanity to draw something. You give like an AI a prompt and you tell it to draw that. Then you give, like, let's just say bumfuck nowhere in the middle of fucking Kansas on DeviantArt. The same concept. They're gonna draw something different and it's gonna be wildly different. And what is to you more interesting?
It's about what their perspective is.
Well, so
that's why I view art. As like,
isn't
what's your perspective?
This just ethnocentrism at this point with all the things we've been saying. The reason we don't think AI art is as artistic is because it doesn't express what we feel as humans.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's what the computer feels. Has anybody read Did I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream?
Yeah.
Yeah. The AI hates humanity for being itself.
But even that AI is more human than what we have because that's not even like the same AI as that.
We only have primitive AI.
Yeah.
And this
the
is the
first
beginning.
layer.
That's the thing, is that this is not timeless at this point. AI is in its infancy.
Exactly.
To us.
It's a child.
I really like the point that most of our disconnect with AI comes from the fact that we have bodies and it doesn't.
It has no brain. It has no heart.
Neither do
But it has no
jellyfish,
mouth.
though.
It has no physicality.
But when it comes to art, there's a lot of people that think anything is art. Like, no matter what you do, anything could be art, and that blurs the lines a lot when it comes to AI generating
Well,
art.
that's where the AI issue gets me. It's not necessarily that it doesn't have a body or an experience. Or, I mean, I guess it does trace back to has no body and experience, but it doesn't have anything to say for what has been produced. However, the person who puts in the prompt has something to say for what it produces.
And they will not have something to say that, well, 9 times out of 10, let's just be generous, they don't really know what they're making it for half the time.
But see, at the end of the day, if you're a painter or a drawer, I honestly don't know what I'm making half the time. None of the things I've drawn during this whole session, I've known why I was making them or what it was going to be.
Well, I can tell you why you've made it. It's because that's what your body told you to
That's
do.
what I was trained on with my interactions. Oh, shit. I don't like how this comes back in a circle.
AI can replicate things intellectually, and this is a problem I have with a lot of artistic discourse, is that we treat art like something of the mind, of the soul, but art is of the body. Art is an experience. It's something you have to go through. And the only reason AI can't make art, it can only make a design, is because design is intellectual. Design is trying to achieve a goal. It's trying to sell something. Art is something you experience. And when you create art, you're drawing on your experience of other art. And no artificial intelligence has ever experienced art.